some motivation. Here's what you might be dealing with. Either it's what you call a rut, where you just can't seem to do anything quote-unquote productive, or you have been dealing with a truckload of negative feelings because of your interpersonal relationships with others, or just overall mental health. The second thing you might be dealing with is that you're not quite meeting your own expectations, so you feel like a bit of a disappointment because you can't achieve your goals. Regardless of whatever it is, just remember that it's simply a single period of time and will pass if you allow it to. You know this because you've done it before. Remember when you used to sulk about being lonely or beating yourself up for not completing those 600 push-ups?
You're not doing that anymore, are you?
Remember how embarrassed you were because you screwed up big time in front of your friends? Do you still feel that embarrassed right now? You're probably thinking,
No, not anymore.
and that's because those times have passed. You allowed it to pass. Imagine if your life was like a river and there was a small little pond in the middle with dams around it.
Two things might flow through. Muck that can't stay permanently, and
A type of flower that is so incredibly beautiful it can somehow grow roots so that it just stays in the pond permanently.
you can choose to either keep the dams closed or open. You really want some of those pretty flowers to flow through and maybe grow in your little pond permanently, so you leave the dams open in hopes of that.
As fate would have it, a really beautiful flower enters the pond. It's like no other, and thankfully it manages to grow roots in your pond and it's there for good.
You pay extra attention to it, so it becomes stronger and produces fruits for you.
As well, as the river keeps flowing, more flowers enter your cool little pool. Some flow straight through and the one is gone in an instant.
But that's fine, because you still have your nice flourishing flower. But one day, a clump of muck flows through your dam doors. Dam doors.
It makes your pool water polluted and
Gross. So you close the doors, because you don't want any more gross muck entering your little pond. You try to scoop it out entirely to remove it, but there's always that small piece of muck that manages to evade your frustrated scooping actions. So it stays there for a long period of time, and it pollutes your waters.
even worse, you're paying so much attention to that muck trying to get it out of your pool that you start to neglect your little flourishing flower, so it begins to wilt. At this point, you know the only way to get rid of the muck is to open the dam and let the water flow through to wash it away. New muck might flow through,
Through your pool as well, but you know it'll eventually exit your pool too.
so even though it's scary, you open the doors and the bad stuff flows away. Your flower becomes even stronger and beautiful because it managed to survive during the days the muck was around without getting killed. As time goes on, you learn that having new things pass through your pond isn't as bad as long as it doesn't kill your flower. The good flowers that are meant to stay will stay, and those that aren't meant to be will begin to rot if you try and keep them there. They'll become toxic muck and start harming the ecosystem in the pond. So you have to just simply let it go, let it pass through. The muck still comes and goes, but it's never permanent.
Now take this analogy and imagine that these flowers and muck were simply the good things and the bad things you go through in life. The flowers represent the happy, flourishing relationships that you have, the successes that you've experienced, the goals you have reached. And the muck represents all your ruts, the times you felt depressed. It also represents all the times you felt like a failure or disappointment because you didn't achieve your goals. You didn't feel like you were progressing. That's what the muck represents. These ruts. Muck and ruts. Nah, there's no rhyme. Or the muck can just represent the times when you didn't get what you wanted.
The pond or pool, or whatever I've been calling it throughout this voice call, is the present. The dams represent your mindset or the literal walls you put up around yourself during certain periods of your life. And of course, the river is a blend of your past, present, and future, filled with all the experiences you're bound to have.
By the way, I got parts of this analogy from the Avatar, the last Airbender Avatar, obviously, not the blue people Avatar, you know. Basically, the part from the anime was talking about chakra and energy stuff, so I'm just gonna use it for life because I think that really makes sense. You don't know what is coming down that river. You don't know what is going to enter your pond. You have no idea what's going to exit it or stay. And if you keep your dam walls closed, you might never get to see the next beautiful flower that flows into your little pond. And that's why you need to keep letting things pass. The bad things and the good things. Why let your presence be poisoned by the small piece of muck? Why hold on to toxic relationships just because of its beautiful ghost? Like, it's a ghost. The relationship is like dead. So stop holding on to it. It's just gonna hurt you if you don't allow it to pass. If you feel like shit because you haven't done anything quote-unquote productive the whole day, that's fine. Just let that unproductive period pass. Stop harping on the fact that you were unproductive instead of getting your lazy ass off your freaking chair and getting to work.
Allow this rut to pass, and all the other shit that you've been dealing with as well. Just let it pass. If you have no idea where to begin to start allowing things to pass, here's what worked for me.
So stage 1 is to identify your muck. Identify what has been making you feel like shit the past few days. You need to know the cause of this emotional state that you are in first so that you can overcome it. And journaling is what helped me like figure this whole thing out. You can just talk to yourself, go on a walk and just be like, oh, what's causing me the most emotional turmoil the last few days? What's causing me to feel so terrible the last few days? So you can just talk to yourself, or you can just record a video and just like ramble, or you can journal, which is what I did. So I did this myself a couple of days ago, about 3 days, because today is the 24th. I wrote my journal on the 21st, and there were, I guess you can say, 5 things that could have been causing this emotional muck. And 2 of these things are quite personal, so I'm not going to talk about those. But 1, or rather 3 of the things that was potentially causing this emotional muck were my goals. So I have a goal for YouTube, I have a goal for my studies, and I have a goal for growing taller because I'm short as hell and I want to grow taller. Once I identified the potential causes of the muck, I had to move on to stage 2, which is ARC. And this is a framework that was taught to me by my mentor, and it stands for Accept, Recognize, and Change. So the first step, once you've identified what your muck is to accept that it's happening. Because if you deny that this is happening, if you deny that you're feeling this way, then you're just pushing the problem to one side and you can't actually like solve it. You can't allow yourself to let it pass if you push it to one corner and just lock it up in a certain part of your brain. Once you've accepted it, you need to recognize the causes of it. You need to also recognize, okay, from here, where can I go? And how I did that was by just delving deeper into this particular thing. So I wrote down the causes, I wrote down potential solutions and potential mindset shifts that I probably needed. And then once you've recognized the paths you can take, you've recognized the causes, you can move on to change. And there's 2 types of change. One, you change the way you frame things, the way you look at things, the way you view things, or you change the way you do things. For changing how you frame things, I'm gonna use my YouTube goal as an example. I thought that, wow, I'm not making progress now and everyone else is, so I'm failing. I reframed it such that it was like more realistic. I told myself, I just started a few months ago, so it's natural that I don't see this progress now. But as long as I keep progressing and keep working on making each new video better than the last, I will get there. It's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's when. When it came to my studies, I was stressed about prelims, I was stressed about exams, I was stressed about not doing well and not remembering what I had studied. I had to change what I did, because obviously if I'm worried about it, if I'm worried that I'm not studying enough, I'm clearly not studying enough. Because the worry comes from somewhere. There's always a root problem, there's always a root cause. So for me, in my case, my problem was that I wasn't studying enough. at least my definition of enough. So I had to change how much I study. That was the change in terms of changing what you do. So I changed my mindset, my attitude towards my YouTube goals, and I changed the actions I was taking regarding my studies goals. So that's the ARC framework. Like once you make the change, then you slowly start allowing it to pass, because you stop viewing it as a negative thing and you're like, oh, okay, it's actually not that bad. I just need to, continue on with whatever I'm doing to progress and stop harping on the fact that I'm not getting the results I want now. And in the case of relationships, because I mentioned that earlier as well, we're splitting up, we're going on separate paths now. That's a bad thing. Oh no. I reframed losing one of my closest friends to be, I'm growing, so are they. We are both progressing towards what we want. And this friendship is over, but that's fine, because I've also learned from it. So that's how you can apply framing towards your relationships and stuff. So stage 1 is identifying the muck. Stage 2 is ARC. Stage 3 is saying no to those negative thoughts. It might take a bit longer for some people, because some people will just have these recurring negative thoughts. That's what's happening to me actually. About 2 weeks ago, I started making progress, and then these negative thoughts came back. I kind of went backwards a bit, and then now I'm moving forwards again. So what I learned during this back and forth, even during the last year and a half, was just saying no. When the thoughts came back, I'll be like, no, I'm changing how I look at this thing. I know what went wrong. I know what I can do now. So I'm gonna change. So I just kept saying no to these thoughts, and yeah, I felt that way before, but you can keep your thoughts to yourself, you chimp. So that's stage 3. Stage 4 is allowing it to pass completely. And stage 4 is more of a repetition of stage 2 and 3, where you have the negative thoughts, you say no, and you have to also accept again that you're having these thoughts. You need to recognize the cause of you having these thoughts again, and then change something about the way you think or the things you're doing that might be causing these thoughts to resurface again. So it's a long process, undoubtedly, but as you develop this skill of just allowing it to pass, you get better at it, and things will just pass faster in the future. It's okay to feel like this for now, but don't keep harping on it. Give yourself the chance to allow it to pass. If you're not making progress now, let this period of lack of progress, let it pass. Let the success come in. The failure will pass and the success will come. But of course, to achieve something, you need to first make mistakes so you can learn from it. So don't view it as a bad thing. And if you're going through tough times, let it pass. You need to take action. If not, the last few minutes will have been just a waste of your time. If you're in a rut, go do some journaling or just talk to yourself. If you're not in a rut, just keep doing what you're doing. And if you do get in a rut, then apply this 4-step guide, which is identify the muck, ARC, say no to the thoughts, and continuously let it pass. Don't ask me why I can't do this. I can't. But yeah, let's get it, boys. Alright gang, we got bitten by 2 Aedes mosquitoes. I don't even know how many times. But we're going home. The muck came and went, and we got the footage we needed, so we heading home, boys. Let's go. Alright, let's get it, gang. Woo! I can't pause this. Oh my days. Before I forget, I started a Discord server, a free community. Feel free to join. When there's enough people, I'll probably start doing maybe weekly chill calls just to talk and ask each other questions to just help each other along. So yeah, the link's in the description. It's kind of empty right now. It's just me as of today. If you want to join the gang, let's go.